The challenge of governance is to see how we can leverage what is on the ground and convert this to wealth for the people.
Russia, China are gaining entry into Africa, and it would appear that some Western countries are losing out.
You're working as an expatriate worker, then you're paid in your currency. But then if you must spend those money, you need to convert those money to the local currency to spend.
For Social Security to work, we need to know exactly how many we are. We don't have a precise number. We need to know exact location of people.
When we address this exchange rate volatility, we will see definitely cost of goods and services will come down.
From a security point of view, we should employ the technology to ensure that we can track individuals and goods within the continent.
This is Early Exchange with Femi Ayodele.
You know, the Early Exchange is all about shaping policy and advancing development. With our conversation today, we're set to give you the best of programming.
And Blessing Aiche.
We do hope that you enjoy every time you spend with us here today. The world needs peace. The world needs to come to a round table and find solutions to the pockets of troubles.
Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Impacts you as well, and how you can avoid it having a negative effect on you. As always, Femi Ayodele is here, and together we'll be treating you to a wonderful show. We ask that you stay the rest of the remaining 2 hours and the rest of the day with Souq News, because one of the things we'll be talking about is the decision of Binance, a crypto trading platform, announcing that beginning from March 8, it will hold all Naira transactions on the platform. What has led to that? What does that mean for those who deal on the Binance platform? This and more you'll get on the show. First, Femi wants to say hello. Good morning, Femi.
Good morning. It's always my pleasure to be here. Today it's looking like a day dedicated for waistcoat.
Yes. I see that camera you have.
Yeah, the secret one.
The
It's
one
working.
using spying on what I would wear, you know, is still active, so I need to block it.
No, it won't happen.
So you don't go on twinning with me.
No. I will strategize. All right, good morning. Glad you have you join us on Early Exchange. It's always a pleasure having you join us here, because we'll prepare to start your day with the best of programming. Like Blessing said, we'll be looking at the activities of the Binance Exchange and the controversy trailing it, you know, and the implication for some of the accounts and even the economy itself, and some of the accusations that have been levied against this firm. Don't forget, you can be part of this conversation. What has been your experience with Binance Exchange? All you just have to do is to go on our social media platform, on our YouTube page, to share your experience and your view on this ongoing development. Now let's kick off the show properly by taking news update, and Lovina is standing by in the newsroom to take us around the world.
Good morning, Femi and Blessing, and hello, welcome to the news update on Souq News. I am Lavina Emma. Binance Nigeria has announced plans to seize all services in Naira, the country's local currency, from March 8, 2024. The cryptocurrency platform announced the decision on its website. This development comes amid the federal government's clampdown on the crypto exchange over regulatory breaches. Additionally, any remaining Naira balances in users' accounts will be automatically converted to the Tether stablecoin. The exchange encouraged users to withdraw the Naira funds, trade their Naira assets, or convert them to crypto before the discontinuation of these Nigerian services. Moving on, in line with Section 11 of the Ghana's Foreign Exchange Act 2006, the Bank of Ghana has temporarily suspended the foreign exchange trading licenses of Guarantee Trust Bank Ghana and FBN Bank Ghana Limited, effective from March 18, 2024, lasting for 1 month. The decision, announced via a press release, follows various breaches of foreign exchange market regulations, including fraudulent documentation in their operations. According to the Apex Bank, the suspension will be lifted upon the bank's implementation of effective controls, ensuring strict compliance with forex market regulations. The bank emphasized the importance of adherence to regulations and guidelines in the foreign exchange market. And away from that now, in response to the growing demand for electric vehicles, traditional automakers are stepping up their efforts. Ford, with 2 electrified vehicles already available in the Australian market, is gearing up to introduce 3 more, as confirmed by a company representative. Meanwhile, Toyota has recently debuted its inaugural electric car in Australia, complementing its existing lineup of 9 hybrids. The company expresses confidence in its approach of offering a diverse array of hybrids while gradually expanding its electric vehicle portfolio. This move reflects a broader industry trend towards sustainability and lower emissions, aligning with consumer preferences for environmentally friendly transportation options. In another development, as a response to a cyber attack on United Health Technology, the U.S. government has announced plans to expedite Medicare and Medicaid payments to affected hospitals. The attack, attributed to Black Hat ransomware group, has disrupted electronic pharmacy refills and insurance transactions, impacting various players within the U.S. healthcare system, while government support has been initiated. The American Medical Association, AMA, and the American Hospital Association has expressed concerns, deeming the measures insufficient to address the scale of the crisis. Both organizations urged the Biden administration to expand financial assistance, including advance payments for physicians, to mitigate cash flow challenges caused by the inability to process claims and receive payments. Additionally, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services encourage Medicare Advantage plans to offer advance funding to affected providers and relax compliance requirements. And finally, U.S.-based airline companies JetBlue Airways and Spirit Airlines have terminated their $3.8 billion merger agreement following a U.S. judge's blockage in January due to antitrust concerns, effectively ending hopes of creating the 5th largest carrier in the United States. The collapse of the deal poses challenges for Spirit, struggling with financial pressures and a mounting debt burden. The decision marks a win for the Biden administration, aligning with its stance against consolidations in the aviation sector to prevent potential consumer harm. President Joe Biden has hailed the ruling as safeguarding consumer interests and promoting competition. JetBlue CEO Joanna Geraghty acknowledged the slim chances of regulatory approval, even if the ruling was overturned on appeal, citing the July 24 deadline. Privately, JetBlue executives have expressed relief considering Spirit's financial downturn, while Spirit CEO Ted Christie cited regulatory obstacles for the deal's failure to proceed. With that, we call it a wrap on the news update. I am Lavina Emma. Early Exchange continues with Blessing and Femi. Many thanks for watching.
All right, thank you, Lovina, for the news update. Let's go on a short break now. We'll be right back to discuss our big story for today, which is to look at the activities of Binance. Stay with us.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence. I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching Souq News.
In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress, welcome to Souq News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souq News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souq News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souq News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souq News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
The challenge of governance is to see how we can leverage what is on the ground and convert this to wealth for the people.
Russia, China are gaining entry into Africa, and it would appear that some Western countries are losing out.
You're working as an expatriate worker, then you're paid in your currency. But then if you must spend those money, you need to convert those money to the local currency to spend.
For Social Security to work, we need to know exactly how many we are. We don't have a precise number. We need to know exact location of people.
When we address this exchange rate volatility, we will see definitely cost of goods and services will come down.
From a security point of view, we should employ the technology to ensure that we can track individuals and goods within the continent.
This is Early Exchange with Femi Ayodele.
You know, the Early Exchange is all about shaping policy and advancing development. With our conversation today, we're set to give you the best of programming.
And Blessing Aiche.
We do hope that you enjoy every time you spend with us here today. The world needs peace. The world needs to come to a round table and find solutions to the pockets of troubles.
Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Well, thank you for staying with us. It is Early Exchange. Straight away, let's dive into the discussion for today, which is Binance, a crypto trading platform, announcing that beginning from March 8th, which is just Friday, 2 days away, it will hold all Naira transactions on its platform. Now, this is coming due to increased scrutiny by the regulatory, APES regulatory body on the financial sector in Nigeria, which is the central bank, on the activities of Binance. Now, according to the central bank, about $262 billion have gone through Binance platform in in the short period, and they are actually not traceable. But some other analysts, economists as well, and crypto experts have said that these are actually traceable. What is the real issue here? How will the halting of Naira transactions on Binance platform affect those who were trading on the platform? We understand that while crypto may not have been given a perfect green card in Nigeria as to continue, but they still have crypto transactions in Nigeria, and the central bank too has tried to come up with guidelines to ease crypto transactions in Nigeria, even though it is not, like I said, a perfect green card to say yes. We open all platforms. Banks can actually receive, bank accounts can work with crypto accounts. There are still gray areas around that, but it is a fact that Nigeria has a lot of crypto transaction ongoing. How will this impact those who trade crypto? We'll find out in the course of the show. Before bringing a guest, I need to ask, do you trade in crypto? Do you fear that Binance halting Naira transactions might affect you or some people you know?
Even if I don't trade in crypto, you know, of course, this kind of decision will always have consequence. For every decision you make that has to do with financial transactions, you should expect that there will be the aftermath. And from the feel I've been getting, you know, before now, people were making money, but when this kind of development, you know, happens, you know, there's always this fear, there's always this apathy, and then, you know, once this panic is there, people start to see what they can do to safeguard their investment first. But we must understand that it's a virtual market. You know, when you have this kind of virtual assets, interestingly, the CBN has maintained a position in Nigeria, which is the fact that it has not, like you said, the CBN has given advisory against, you know, cryptocurrencies and its transactions, because it's a technological driven kind of market. It's software driven. So it's unlike the regular, the conventional market where you can easily regulate it. It's difficult to do that. And that's why the CBN has maintained that position. Now, what happened with Binance is a situation whereby, according to the accusations levied against them by the CBN, is the fact that the CBN claimed that the activities of Binance has also led to destruction in the FX market, accusing them of engaging in, you know, manipulating FX rates and also currency manipulation. How that happens is a lot of Nigerians, you know, a lot of young people in Nigeria, because you're tech savvy, you know, you expect they engage in this kind of transactions. If you see the number of young people in Nigeria who do this kind of transaction, you'll be marveled, because it's something that inspires people. Now, the interesting thing, if you look at the exchange rate in recent times, because it's all about speculation, you know, the crypto thing adds value when the exchange rate is high, and then you can make your speculation to look at the deduction between the local currency and the global currency. So the destruction that the activities of Binance has brought to that, according to the CBN, has been of concern, raising the fact that, according to the CBN, about $26 billion transaction has taken place, you know, via that platform, and also accusing them of engaging in illicit fund transfer. So you wouldn't expect, or you wouldn't have expected the CBN to just fold its hands. And that's why it has taken the authority, you know, with the big stick to ensure that these activities are being regulated. But how it's going to work is, now that Binance has announced that its Nigerian Naira services is going to be, you know, shut down by Friday. Now you see people who are, you call them user accounts. Some of them will have to, of course, like a filler that I got, the price has dropped, and so
the price of some
people are losing
coin, crypto coin.
So people will start losing money, and so what that happens is you start people selling, you know, and the impact of that is there will be instability in that market, and people will start you know, speculating in a manner that it will bring destruction to the market. So it's important this is done. Now, generally, it's a challenge for Nigerians because there's no proper regulation as regards crypto, and that's a challenge. But it cannot be regulated because it's a global market. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. All right, Alanta, I guess, is ready for us. Let's see what he will have to say, and how he's going to react to this. We're being joined by Andrew Ogbe, who is a data analyst. He's going to share his opinion as regards this development. Andrew, glad to have you join us on NXT this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me this morning. Such an exciting morning. It's good to be here once again.
Good to see you. It's been a while. Now, let's look at the subject matter.
Yeah, actually.
You know, for not good reasons anyway. Binance has been in the news for days now. Let's go back to the roots of this crisis. The CBN has accused Binance of engaging in FX manipulation, you know, talking about the currency rate in the last few months. What do you make of these accusations first? Let's have your reaction to these. And before we look at the decision being made by Binance itself. So let's start with the accusations levied by the CBN against Binance. What's your take on that?
Okay, I think the CBN is doing everything they can to protect the devaluation of the Naira, which is a responsible thing to do for any government, right? To protect the devaluation of its currency. Now, with whether Binance is helping to do this is what has yet to be proven yet, right? The CBN has taken a step in the right direction. Of course, these are allegations as it stands right now. If the matter gets to court, then the central bank would, I believe, which they have their own evidences, will prove if this is true. And I believe Binance will be fined for it if that is the case. Right, but I think the Binance earlier came up with a circular saying that they were they were working together with the CBN, the federal government, to ensure that they remove some of the users on their platform who were involved in some of these things. But so far so good. It's like Binance have not been so cooperative with the CBN, given the recent development. Probably things didn't pan out well.
Okay, so now that Binance is going straight up to halt Naira transactions on its platform, what are the likely implications of this?
Okay, yes, there are implications because Binance is the largest cryptocurrency exchange platform in the world. And of course, that also means it's the largest cryptocurrency exchange that Nigerians use. Okay, so there are implications. What it means is that you will no longer be able to, Nigerians will no longer be able to exchange their Naira on the Binance platform. They will not be able to deposit Naira or withdraw Naira from the Binance platform. Of course, which means there are going to be limitations. The funds that goes into the crypto market we're going to experience a downtime, right? Because the funds that are going to go into the crypto market coming from Nigeria will no longer be as seamless as it used to be. Probably, I don't know how the issue will develop, if there will be other development, but Binance have had similar issues with other countries, even in the US. They've had similar issues like this. So we hope to see probably what the events will become in the coming days. Right? But from what Binance has stated right now, Naira deposits and Naira withdrawal will not be available, which will impact, first of all, it impacts the fate of the people in using the platform. A lot of people will be discouraged about cryptocurrency and getting into the crypto market. And the limitations will also deter some people because, you know, the ease of transaction is one of the things that makes people transact in cryptocurrency. So that ease will no longer be there, or that ease has been taken away because of Binance, right? So people won't, the volume of funds we see going into the crypto market may reduce to some extent.
Now, there's this argument, you know, going back and forth about the fact that Binance is not licensed to operate in Nigeria. How did we get to this level? And what would be the takeaway for Nigeria looking at this development?
Okay, for me, I think it's quite too late to say that Binance is not licensed in Nigeria. Now, in the first place, Binance has been operating in Nigeria for so many years now. So I don't think that is totally valid. If Binance was not registered in Nigeria, then who gave them the right to operate in the first place? We need to figure out that. Who gave them the right to operate in the first place? Now, the reason we are seeing this right now is because we've seen some almost like the free fall of Naira in the past few months. So that is why we are now having issues of, is Binance registered in Nigeria or not? But if you remember earlier on, the central government, the federal government, through the CBN, released a circular saying that virtual assets, commercial banks can begin to trade accounts for virtual asset service providers. So, and they stated the guidelines, the requirements for registration for different virtual asset service providers. Of course, which Binance falls in that category. So the question will be that, was Binance ever registered? If they were not registered, who allowed them to operate in Nigeria in the first place? I think whoever allowed them to operate in Nigeria in the first place without registration needs to be brought to book. And we can't just come up right now and say Binance was not registered. Now, okay, let's say it's not registered truly. I think the central government is taking the step in the right direction to see that things are done in the proper way. But I think this is only coming up because of the recent free fall of the Naira.
All right, let's look at the activities of Binance itself. You mentioned earlier that they've had similar issue in the US, but that's not the only country where Binance has had issues with the regulatory authorities. It also had that issue in the UK. So with Nigeria, it's about the third country that is flagging Binance for perceived non-compliance issues and some issues around money laundering and the likes. So what is it about Binance that gives them, that gives that look like there's something here that isn't right?
Okay, for Binance, you see the CEO, the former CEO right now of Binance, in the person of CZ, he on by the US government, okay? And I think the matter is still in court. If he's found guilty, he's going to pay a fine, I think so. So I think Binance by itself has had these issues over and over and over and over again with several governments of different nations. I think there must be something, because there's no smoke without fire. If this has been consistent in different countries, not just Nigeria, it means there's something that Binance is not doing right, and there's something Binance may probably not be saying right to the public yet. So, and because it's the largest exchange platforms, people find it more appealing. People trust the platform because it's the largest in the world. But for them to be having similar issues country after country, Nigeria is the third country, like you said, there must be something about Binance that Binance is not saying to the public.
All right. I would like you to give us a picture of the level of destruction that might likely be brought to the market, the crypto market, looking at this development, the decision to halt its Naira services starting from Friday. Give us an idea or a picture of the level of destruction that might come to the crypto market in the next few days.
Okay, the discussion, I would like to say Nigeria is just one of the countries, okay? Even with the regulation, we've seen Bitcoin soar to its previous all-time high, even with what is happening right now. So we're talking about it globally because the crypto market is a global market. Yeah, there may be a little impact, but I think it's going to correct because we are still in the bull season. It's going to correct, and there's still going to be massive spike in the value of cryptocurrency, regardless of what has happened right now. But what may happen is that the number of Nigerians who have been going into crypto may drastically reduce. It may drastically reduce because the ease of transaction has been taken away. If you remember, in 2020, when the federal government, through the CBN, stopped commercial banks from trading accounts for virtual asset service providers, you'll notice that there was a drastic drop in the participation of Nigerians in the crypto market. But that didn't change the bull market. It didn't change Bitcoin from moving from $15,000 to $67,000 because this is a global market. So we may experience a little correction here and there, but I don't think personally that it is going to impact the value of cryptocurrencies in this time. Yeah.
All right. At the time that the CBN stopped the accounts of virtual assets traders, they moved on to what is called the peer-to-peer markets. Is there a possibility that something else will come up to provide a platform for continuous trade, even if Binance stops Naira transactions?
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I think something else will come up because this is a global market. It's a global market, and the CBN is just doing the best to protect the currency, right? And because this is a global market, ways will always come up, right? There will always be ways. Just like you mentioned in 2020, when they stopped virtual asset service commercial banks from trading accounts for virtual asset service providers, P2P came up, right? P2P was not a big thing prior to that time, but P2P became big. Personally, I remember a lot of people were scared at that time, and it was all over on the news. But P2P came up and things normalized. I still think things will come up because, right, remember, Binance is just one of the exchange platforms that are operating in Nigeria. There are still a few others who are still allowed to operate as at this moment. So probably we might see Nigerians moving to those other platforms that are still allowed to operate in Nigeria. Or if those platforms are also regulated, probably there might be other means. And mind you, cryptocurrencies, actually, the technology of cryptocurrency is the concept of decentralization, where no central body is able to regulate its issuance and or manipulate what happens in the market. So we're going to see probably the future of cryptocurrency generally is full decentralization, of course, which it's a long walk. It may take a decade before we see this thing becoming a norm. But I think we're going to see more of probably decentralized exchange platforms coming up that may help users trade their cryptocurrency. That is what we may see. I think something else may come up, and even as it stands right now, like I said, Binance is just one amongst the many other exchange platforms, or the few other exchange platforms that have been taken this move. Others still allow their transaction in Naira. So we may see some Nigerians who can no longer use Binance move into using these other exchange platforms. And we wait to see how things will unfold, if the CBN is going to also do the same thing to these other exchange platforms or not. And we'll see if Nigerians or generally people would come up with other means of trading their cryptocurrencies.
The decentralized nature of the crypto market, do you think is one of the reasons why financial regulatory authorities in several countries are uncomfortable with the operations or with the trading of crypto, and they get uncomfortable as well with platforms that offer the exchange?
Okay, yes, that is one of the major things. It's like you live in your house and a burglar wants to come in to take away your goods. You have to fight against it. Now, decentralization is actually coming to take away centralization. And I think the government is doing all it can, right? It's doing its best. If I was in government, I would take similar steps and take similar decisions, right? Because I'm trying to protect the currency of my country. I'm trying to protect against decentralization, because in as much as decentralization has its benefits, well, we need to also note that state that it has its demerits, okay, which is what the central government, the central bank is trying to protect against. Now, but you see, one thing, if you are a student of history, you know that evolution, right, is something that is here to stay. Change is something that is permanent. It may not happen now. There may be tussle, there may be quarrels, there may be fights, right? There may be things like this where we are seeing right now, but eventually things will align. I believe that in the coming days, governments of different nations will find ways to coexist, probably a cohabitation between decentralization and centralization. And government will find ways to regulate this platform. And one of the ways that this can be done is just because we haven't gotten it right yet, is even through centralized exchange platforms, right? Because one of the ways cryptocurrencies can be regulated or cryptocurrencies can be taxed is in the exchange process, changing them to local currencies. And this is done through centralized exchange platforms. It's just that these centralized exchange platforms have not been regulated well so far, right? So using centralized exchange platforms, cryptocurrency transaction can be taxed and can be monitored because everyone on a cryptocurrency exchange platform is meant to do a KYC, right? So these things can be done. It's just that we haven't gotten it right yet, not just with Nigeria, but globally. But I believe in the coming days, right, in the coming years, we might begin to find ways to coexist with this technology because we can't deny the technology is here already. We'll begin to find ways to coexist with it and to maximize the technology. And I think one of the ways that it can be done is through centralized exchanges, but it's just that we haven't gotten it right yet.
Okay, if you say, there's an element of truth to that. If you say crypto transactions can be traced, can be tracked, what do you make of this accusation by the CBN against Binance of saying that about $26 billion has passed through that platform and without traces? What do you make of this accusation?
Okay, if $26 billion, over $26 billion has passed through Binance, it must have passed through a certain account, which if Binance is not hiding anything, they can provide the customers' accounts that this money came through. Because every customer, except there are exceptions, but as far as I know, every customer is meant to do a KYC on Binance, right? And I think governments can enforce this. Like I said, it's because we haven't gotten it right yet. That is why we are where we are today. But if we got it right earlier and we were monitoring the KYC, whatever that is going on through on these apps, now we can monitor the transactions that come into different accounts. And if Binance is not hiding anything, I think Binance should come out playing with the records of those transactions because it can be traced to the individual wallets that this money came in through. Because you can't exchange these cryptocurrencies in Nigeria except you trade it on these exchange platforms. And you trade it, you don't trade it anonymously, you don't trade it with ghosts, you trade it with actual human beings who have done KYC on this platform. And I think going forward, government should have access to some of the records of this KYC so that if there are transactions if there are illicit transactions, it can be flagged through the platforms.
Now, to the allegation of Binance distorting the forex market, do you find that credible? Because even in 2023, APCON had called on the Central Bank of Nigeria to stop Binance. So this call has been coming long time. Do you find it credible?
Okay, yes, I would say a yes and a no. Yes, in the sense that, of course, because Binance is a large exchange platform, and a lot of people, one of the ways to access dollars, do it through cryptocurrency right now. So of course, if foreign currency is coming into your country, it's going to devalue your Naira. But no, on the other hand, that Binance is not the only problem of the Naira, because even after what has happened right now, we haven't seen the Naira correct to probably trade for 800 Naira to $1. I am waiting to see that, and I'm hoping that that will be. But as it stands now, what we saw the Naira move from, I think, about 1,900 to 1,500 Naira. Now, of course, that is a growth in a positive direction, but I am in doubt that we will see the Naira coming back to probably 800 Naira, because Binance is not the only influence on our currency. There are several, these things are economic in nature. There are several reasons why our currency is where it is, and I don't think that's what we're discussing today. But with regards to whether Binance has impacted this, yes, cryptocurrencies generally have impacted this. But we need to find out how are other currencies doing in the world. Now, there are nations where cryptocurrencies are still being transacted. Even in the US, there are platforms that allow for cryptocurrency exchange. How are they doing it? And why is their currency still the way it is? Those are the questions we need to begin to ask, so that we don't only just try to treat the issue from the fruits, but we treat it from the roots.
Interesting. I love that, treat it from the roots. All right, it's time for us to go on a short break. We're not done yet. Andrew is still here with us. We'll go on a short break now, and when we return, we'll continue our conversation in this regard. Stay with us.
My name is Dr. Rafiu Oladipo.
My name is Baba Jalal Repega.
I'm Reverend Juliet Benite.
I'm Godio Didi.
My name is Professor Oladokun Sulaiman Olarawaju.
Souq News is on the ground, loading.
Very enlightening, very educative, and entertaining.
Thank you to Souq News.
So I'm happy that Souq TV has come into existence. I'm happy to be here in the Souq News.
I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel and keep watching news that makes sense.
As Browning said, one's extension of one's reach should not exceed one's grasp, or what is heaven for. And I think Souq News is doing that.
Africa needs a voice of truth, and Souq News has become one of them. And get ready, get ready, get ready.
And keep watching.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. It's a place to be.
Keep watching Souq News.
In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to Souq News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souq News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souq News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souq News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souq News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
The challenge of governance is to see how we can leverage what is on the ground and convert this to wealth for the people.
Russia, China are gaining entry into Africa, and it would appear that some Western countries are losing out.
You're working as an expatriate worker, then you're paid in your currency. But then if you must spend those money, you need to convert those money to the local currency to spend.
For Social Security to work, we need to know exactly how many we are. We don't have a precise number. We need to know exact location of people.
When we address this exchange rate volatility, we will see definitely cost of goods and services will come down.
From a security point of view, we should employ the technology to ensure that we can track individuals and goods within the continent.
This early exchange with Femi Ayodele.
You know, the early exchange is all about shaping policy and advancing development. With our conversation today, we're set to give you the best of programming.
And Blessing Aiche.
We do hope that you enjoy every time you spend with us here today. The world needs peace. The world needs to come to a round table and find solutions to the pockets of troubles.
Early exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
Yes, indeed. We're still in the business of shaping policy and advancing development with our conversation, and we're still looking at the controversy trailing the activities of Binance in Nigeria. And we still have our guest analyst here with us. Andrew is still here with us. Glad to know you're still there with us, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you, Femi. I'm still here.
Great. Now, what kind of strategy, looking at this development, for Nigerians who have users' accounts with Binance, what kind of strategy do you think they can deploy at this time to mitigate the effect of this development? And what would be your adversary for them, your counsel for Nigerians who have users' accounts with Binance?
Okay, generally, one of the things that with cryptocurrency generally, I personally strongly advise against keeping a bulk of your assets on centralized exchanges. I see centralized exchanges as a marketplace. It's more like going to the market to buy goods and leaving those goods in the market. Nobody does that. You buy them and take them home. Why? Because we've seen, not just in the case of Binance, we saw FTX go down in front of our eyes, right? Go down to zero, and people lost hugely, heavily on this, on their investment on these platforms. We've seen that, I think, with also, I think, Patricia in Nigeria. Things has happened with several centralized exchange. So my counsel to Nigerians will be, if you use these platforms, this centralized exchange platform, please use them with caution, because several regulation or even manipulation that may be happening that may be beyond your control can happen within these platforms and take you out. So if you trade with these platforms, ensure, especially now that we are battling regulation issues and we're trying to get it right, ensure that you don't leave a bulk of your assets on centralized exchange platforms, because things can go out of your control at any time.
On Binance, clarification regarding the halting of Naira transactions, that while that is done, the customers can continue using Binance for other of their services and products for other crypto transactions. Now, does it defeat their purpose or the reason why the CBN was clamping down on Binance? Now, if they're halting Naira transactions, but they say customers on their platform can continue transactions, but just the Naira transaction has been halted, does it make it counterproductive at the end of the day regarding what the CBN aims to do?
Yes, I think it does. I think it makes it counterproductive because users are still able to do other transactions on the Binance app. Now, you see, Binance says it's going to discontinue the trading of Naira on its platform. And what you want to ask yourself is, how many Nigerians truly hold Naira on Binance, right? How many Nigerians truly hold Naira? Naira has been used as just a passage, right? People just take Naira through Binance to convert to other cryptocurrencies or to trade to other cryptocurrencies. So this, in a way, is still counterproductive since Binance is still fully operational. What users would simply do is to find other means to get in other cryptocurrencies into their Binance platform and do every other transaction as normal. So we are yet to see Binance exiting Nigeria completely. What we are seeing is just it's delisting Naira from our platform. But I think users will still find, some users may still find other ways to get in currencies. And users, like Binance stated in that report, that if you have Naira, they are going to convert it to USDT. So it's more like having the same thing, what Nigerians normally do, converting Naira to USDT. But right now being done by Binance itself. Of course, there are going to be some limitations. Limitations like formerly, it was easy for people to just convert their Naira to USDT. But right now, because Binance is not allowing that, people will not be able to do that. So we're going to see a reduction on the inflow of Naira into Binance. But possibly Naira could be gotten into Binance through other cryptocurrency, not using the Naira anymore. It could be gotten through, we could get in Naira into Binance using USDT, probably converting Naira to USDT somewhere else and getting it into Binance. So I still think it's counterproductive since Binance is not exiting the Nigerian market yet. But we wait to see how things would unfold in the coming weeks.
Let's revisit the issue of regulating virtual assets. globally, it's been a challenge, regulating virtual assets or crypto transactions. But for CBN, if that's going to happen in Nigeria, what kind of control mechanism can be deployed by the CBN to control crypto transactions in Nigeria? Talking about regulation, how possible can that be? And what kind of mechanism can be deployed to achieve that?
Okay, when I first saw the circular about CBN allowing commercial banks to hold accounts for virtual asset service providers, I was happy because I know it's a step in the right direction, because that is one of the ways to regulate these transactions, because CBN can actually regulate its bank. So if you cannot, in quotes, regulate cryptocurrency transaction, you can regulate how it is being converted to your local currency or how it's being used in your own country, using this means virtual asset service providers and every other means that cryptocurrency is being converted to Naira in your nation, in Nigeria specifically. So I'm thinking that is a step in the right direction. What needs to be done is to ensure that the regulations are strictly followed, as stated in that circular. Regulations on KYC, regulation on fraudulent transactions, everything that's been stated there should be carefully followed. I believe if it is carefully followed as it is stated, we will see some regulation, and even the fraudulent people in the cryptocurrency space will be deterred because they know now that they are being watched. So they'll be deterred with wanting to do the activities, and even virtual asset service providers with intent to, with fraudulent intent, will not receive such, will not get the access to the market anymore because these regulations are being followed. I think if we get it right from that end, I think it's a step in the right direction.
All right, let me take you back to what you said about alternative means created for all the users on Binance platform, finding an alternative means to get Naira into Binance and be converting to USDT. Now, what Binance actually said when they announced that they'll be halting Naira transactions, they had said that from March 8th, any remaining Naira balances in users' Binance accounts will be automatically converted to feeder stablecoin. And they also talked about converting to USDT, but they said, please note that the conversion rate is calculated based on the average closing price of USDT to the Naira trading pair on Binance Spot in the last 7 days. Now, would this mean more money for Binance, maybe by the charges, or will they peg the USDT to the Naira on their platform? Because more persons want to convert now to USDT to be able to continue trading.
Okay, I can't say it will be more money for Binance or more profit for Binance, because this conversion is going to take place on the 8th. From on the 8th, it's going to start from on the 8th. And I don't know what the value of the Naira to the dollar will be on that 8th before I would be able to say that. But I think Binance clearly stated that it was an average that was done within the last 7 days, the value of the Naira, the average of that was what was given. So Binance may be in profit or may be at a loss as at the time that this is being done, right? So, and what you will need to also ask yourself is, how many Nigerians truly keep Naira in its form in Binance, right? How many truly keep Naira in its form in Binance? So I don't think we're talking about a huge sum right now, because what Nigerians mostly do, what people mostly do with Binance is to take Naira and convert to other assets, which I think Nigerians, people must have already done before now. What Binance may be converting to USDT may not be so significant, even on starting from on the 8th.
That is the case. Doesn't mean the regulation of the CBN is coming late. Should there have been a different approach? Should this have come earlier than now?
Yes, I think it should have come earlier than now. I think that, like I said earlier, who allowed Binance, who gave Binance who made Binance legal to operate in Nigeria, right? Those are questions we need to be asking right now. Who gave them the license to operate in Nigeria? Now, what were the guidelines? What were the regulations that they were supposed to follow in operating in Nigeria? These are the things we're supposed to be asking, because what we're doing is just treating the fruit and not addressing it from the root. These are the things we need to be checking. If not, we'll make the same mistake with other exchange platforms. Because what this will do is that this will embolden other exchange platforms. Other exchange platforms will become stronger because their major competitor, right, their number one competitor has been taken out of the market or is exiting the market. So they become bolder. Now, if we don't get it right from the roots with these other exchange platforms, I think we'll still have the same issue over and over and over again. So this should be treated from the root, from the point of regulation. It should be treated from the point of registration, rather, getting these companies, these platforms into the country. There should be some level of restriction, level of this is what we should see. There should be regulations to all these things in their registration process. And if any platform violates this, that is when they should be sanctioned. I think this is coming late, but it is better late than never, in my opinion. So I think the CBN is doing something in the right direction. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up with these. Now that you have this kind of drama playing out between the CBN, the Nigerian government, and Binance, what are other lessons for Nigeria in particular as regards handling of this crisis or this controversy between the government or CBN and Binance? What are other lessons for Nigeria? And then I would like you to also talk about the trends in the crypto market for anyone who wants to invest. Now, what should be the narrative? What kind of crypto can they invest in?
Okay, talking about lessons for Nigeria, I think one of the lessons that I've stated earlier is to ensure that there are we are strict, some regulations are strictly followed upon registration of these platforms in Nigeria. These regulations should be strictly followed. Whatever that is stated, as was stated in the circular, that these platforms are going to meet certain criteria before they are allowed to operate in this nation, I think that should be strictly followed. I think we have learned lessons that if these things are not being followed, if these things are not done properly, we're going to face issues and we're going to have fraudulent people use this platform and go scot-free for it. Now, so these are lessons we have learned, and I think going forward, the CBN through the federal government is going to do so much more in this regard. We're not just going to see platform being allowed to operate for years, milking out billions of dollars from Nigeria without proper regulation. I think this is a lesson we have learned, and going forward, I want to believe that this will not happen again. That before platforms like this are allowed to operate in Nigeria, they must have properly done all their checks. And even if fraudulent activities happen on this platform, it will now be easy to monitor. That won't be the time we're asking them to submit something that they are refusing to and the rest. I believe if it is done rightly, we would have access to every data. The federal government will have access to every data that is required on these platforms. Then, talking about the trends in the cryptocurrency market, it seems as though we have entered into the bull season already, even before the Bitcoin halving that is scheduled for April, because we've seen Bitcoin hit its former all-time high, its last all-time high of $67,000. Even though I still think that this is an artificial pump, we may not be in it fully yet. It's still an artificial pump because I still think the market will undergo a correction and we may experience a dip. So there may be some height of volatility this period. So I want to advise that be careful with the market, right? Don't be too greedy, right? When others are greedy, please be fearful. When others are greedy, be fearful. Don't be too greedy and throw all your eggs in one basket. What I advise people to do, if you must invest in cryptocurrency because it's a highly volatile market, diversify your portfolio. Don't have all your assets or all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your portfolio and look into altcoins, right, that are still probably relatively cheap with strong communities and utility and predictions around them, right? Diversify your portfolio. Don't invest what you cannot afford to lose should the market go against you. But right now, I still think the market will undergo a correction, and possibly in mid-April or so, we might now start seeing some spike in the market. And if Bitcoin breaks through this resistance, I think the resistance of $70,000, I think we might see we might have entered into the bull market if it breaks that resistance. I was thinking it's going to break it, but it's done a correction down to $60,000, and it may possibly go lower the more. So monitor the market and get in at the right time, and also plan to exit at the right time. Don't be too greedy. Once you earn some profit and you think you're okay, exit the market, manage your risk. And something else people can do is you can do dollar cost averaging. You can get into the market at different intervals, right? Don't get into the market at the same time. Get into the market at different intervals. You can decide that you are getting into the market with certain amount over a specific period of time. If you do that, you may not be at a loss no matter how the market goes. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay,
Femi,
before you run off, I just wanted to respond to this on the the stand of the CBN that the $26 billion dollars has passed through Binance over a year, that they cannot verify those accounts or verify how the identity of those to whom those money belong to. Right, but Binance also said that identifying verification requires information that can be used to, of course, verify your identity, like a valid ID card, utility bills containing your home address or passport. And they say that all that data is stored in a blockchain that also contains the transaction value, the block number, and a transaction hash that is similar to a receipt. And they say these are things that are they can be assessed publicly. Is this true? Because there is also an argument that CBN can actually verify the identities of those involved in that transaction. Do you think this is true?
Now, if the CBN can, without Binance, verify the identity of these transactions, I don't think the CBN will be coming from the angle it is coming from, right? Probably they would have just taken down Binance and gone after these people. But for the CBN to be going after asking Binance to provide this, right, it means there are some level of restriction to the identity of these people, the identity of these accounts. So I don't think Binance is being completely truthful here, right? I think probably there may be some things that Binance is still holding or still holding back on, and the CBN have been pressing to get this information out of Binance. What we may see may be a legal tussle. We may see the case going back and forth in court. And if Binance is found guilty, I know they will pay heavily for it. But whatever allegations the CBN has made, I believe they will be able to substantiate it with evidence backing it up in court if this case gets to court.
Thank you very much, Andrew Bay, data analyst, for talking with us this morning on the Binance halting Naira transactions on its platform amid the CBN's scrutiny of its operations. We thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Blessing.
Yes, let's take a break and return to look at something else other than cryptocurrencies. Stay tuned.
My name is Dr. Ajili Tobi. My name is Etemari Glover. Naomi, well done, and shout out to Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News. I want to encourage everyone to keep watching Souq News.
Shout out to Souq News, and yes, tune into them.
Keep watching Souq News. They are one in town.
Hey, we're watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News.
Keep watching Souq News. Catch them on YouTube and all social media channels.
Hey, my name is Frank Edowo, and I'm imploring you. No, forget that. I am forcing you, coercing you to always stay tuned to Souq News for your news requirements.
In the heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress, welcome to Souq News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souq News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souq News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souq News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souq News, is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions. Tafawa Balewa Square, TBS. Tafawa Balewa Square was initially used as a horsing ground called Lagos Race Course. The edifice was constructed by General Yakubu Gowon in 1972 and named after Nigeria's first Prime Minister, Sir Tafawa Balewa. Tafawa Balewa Square is located at 45/57 Marse Bangboshe Street on Lagos Island, Lagos, and referred to as TBS. TBS is a 50,000-seater capacity venue and houses the Remembrance Arcade, the 26-story Independence House, which at a time was the country's tallest building. When Lagos served as the country's seat of government, the National Assembly Complex was within the TBS. Also in the square are the National Broadcasting Commission Office, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency Office, shopping centers, travel agencies, restaurants, car parking lots, and a bus terminal. Tafawa Balewa Square is adorned with beautiful statues of white horses and red eagles, symbols of strength and dignity. Our historic neighbors include the King's College and the Holy Cross Cathedral. Tafawa Balewa Square hosted some of the country's memorable events, such as the Independence Day in 1960, when Nigeria gained independence from Britain, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, which is celebrated annually on January 15. The edifice is a national cultural asset. Tafawa Balewa Square, Souq Enlightenment. The heart of sub-Saharan Africa, where commerce meets progress. Welcome to Souq News, your source for business, economy, and development insight that drive nations forward. From the vibrant streets of Lagos, Africa's fastest economic hub, Souq News takes you on a journey of discovery, analyzing and reporting the facts that lay the foundation for growth and development. We don't just report the news, we create it. Souq News is more than a channel. It is a catalyst for change, spotlighting the stories that shape economies, inspire entrepreneurs, and fuel progress. Covering business, finance, technology, energy, and many more, Souq News provides a daily deep dive into the stories that matter, interviews with industry titans, and analysis that empowers your understanding of economic landscape. Join us daily as we dissect, discuss, and deliver the most relevant and factual news on business and the economy. Souq News is your trusted guide, empowering you with the knowledge to make informed decisions.
The challenge of governance is to see how we can leverage what is on the ground and convert this to wealth for the people.
Russia, China are gaining entry into Africa, and it would appear that some Western countries are losing out.
You're working as an expatriate worker, then you're paid in your currency. But then if you must spend those money, you need to convert those money to the local currency to spend.
For Social Security to work, we need to know exactly how many we are. We don't have a precise number. We need to know exact location of people.
When we address this exchange rate volatility, we will see definitely cost of goods and services will come down.
From a security point of view, we should employ the technology to ensure that we can track individuals and goods within the continent.
This is Early Exchange with Femi Ayodele.
You know, the Early Exchange is all about shaping policy and advancing development. With our conversation today, we're set to give you the best of programming.
And Blessing Aiche.
We do hope that you enjoy every time you spend with us here today. The world needs peace. The world needs to come to a round table and find solutions to the pockets of troubles.
Early Exchange, shaping policy, advancing development.
It's good to know that you're still with us on Early Exchange. It's time for us to take a look at the agricultural sector. This time we're going to Kebbi State, where the state government plans on increasing the agric extension workers there from 69 to 1,000. Now, so far, they have been able to successfully increase the number from 69 to about 650, but there are plans to make it 1,000. Let's look at the place of agric extension workers as Nigeria plans for food security. We'll bring in a guest in a bit, but before then, one man who also consumes food and would like to see Nigeria achieve food security is in the studio. Let's talk with him, Femi.
Interesting. You know, there's something about Kebbi State. The interesting about that is that an average person in that state is a farmer.
Yes.
Not just a farmer.
That's their first calling.
Yeah, that's their first calling. I like that word. It's their first calling. So an average person is like a rice, you know, because Kebbi State is the largest producer of rice. You know, when it comes to rice farming in Nigeria, Kebbi State comes to mind. And so the government of Kebbi State this time around has decided to see how they can maximize the opportunity to make some gains to increase the IGR. And to do that, the government feels it's necessary to put the right mechanism in place. Apart from the resources, it's also good to also drive the policies with the right human beings, with the right workers, and that's why I decided to go this route. Now, the plan is to see how to take advantage of the privilege they have in that state. You know, there has been advocacy that the state government shouldn't depend on federal allocation, shouldn't just look at what they will get from the federal government, but should also look inward. And now Kebbi State being the hub for rice farming, the state government wants to take advantage of that to make proper gains. And that's why if you look at the bilateral relation between Nigeria and China, Kebbi State is one of the states that has decided to take advantage of that so that they can maximize the gains from agriculture. And this time around, they are looking at rice farming. So to achieve this, there's a need to have these extension workers who will go from one local government to the other to supervise, to provide the right counsel. You must understand that doing businesses is important. It's also important to have the right knowledge. And for this knowledge to be passed to these people, because most of them are in the rural areas, and for this right instruction to be passed to these people, especially when it comes to the nitty-gritty of modern farming, you have to engage these extension workers who are trained, they are experts who have the knowledge to share with these people, to give them the right information, counsel about how they can go about about agriculture and farming. Most of the time, what you see, these farmers, all they do is to provide for their own and their family, you know, what you call subsistence kind of farming. But the modern farming requires that this has to be commercialized. And so the government is looking at how to expand the scope of these rural farmers, not just providing for their families or for the people around them, but to see how they can engage in commercialized kind of farming or rice farming, so that that can make impact on the IGR of the state. And so that's why these extension workers have been co-opted into this system, into this policy. So the idea is for them to go from one local government to the other, from one town, from one village to the other, to advise the people and also supervise this kind of project. But you know, when it comes to having this kind of policy, it always comes with challenges like the issue of logistics, you know, the funds that will be devoted into this. And that's why they are keen into that kind of bilateral agreement between Nigeria and China, where certain funds have been provided to oversee this kind of project. So Kebbi State is taking advantage of this so that they can maximize the gain. And I strongly believe it's also a way to create jobs, you know,
yes,
job creation for some people.
Yes, but I wonder how they left the number at 69 before now planning to increase it. And it's not just about Kebbi State, it's about all the other states. And that speaks to the importance that how much a lot of states are not giving importance to extension workers. But Femi, you've said a lot about it. I just know that you have so much more to say. But before we bother you much, let's talk with Akonde Olalekan-Paul, who is our guest today, and he joins us virtually. He's of the Institute of Export of Operations and Management, IEOM, Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to Early Exchange.
Good morning, and I'm happy to be here this morning. How are you doing?
making it. All right, let's look at extension workers first. What roles should they play towards increasing productivity in the agriculture sector?
Thank you very much. Extension workers play very critical roles in agricultural development. You know, everything is changing. Every day we have new, improved breed, new practices, best practices. Climate change is happening. And most of these farmers doesn't know about this and they don't have this information. So it's the role of extension worker to bridge the gap between the information, new practices, new things being produced, maybe by research and development, maybe by industry. It is the research extension workers that bridge this gap, that bring this information to the farmer. So that's why they play that crucial role, because farmer cannot continue to practice what they have known maybe for the past 20, 25, 30 years. Things has moved. There's a new way of producing. There's new seed variety. There's what we call climate smart agriculture right now. There's new way of packaging our product, new way of harvesting, post-harvest handling. So most of the farmers are smallholders. They don't have access to this information. So it's the role of extension worker to take this information to them, to take these new practices to them, and to train them or teach them on how to do it so that they can maximize their production on the field. So the role of extension workers is very critical, very crucial. That it amuses me that to know that a state in Nigeria, we have just 69 extension workers where almost the entire population, if not maybe 70–80% of the entire population are farmer. This is appalling, and I just have to give kudos to that state for bringing out this number and trying to improve it. You know, if we have to do audit of all the states in Nigeria, you know, it's not going to look funny of what we are going to get. So the role of extension worker is very critical. If we must be self-sufficient in food production, if we must overcome this food insecurity we are fighting today, then we must put more effort. We must spend more money, invest so much in extension worker. And just like the guest in the studio has said, it's a way of creating job, not just developing the farmer. This extension worker that they are engaging, they are creating job for them. So when we say there's unemployment, there's no job in Nigeria, there are so many avenues we can create job that people authority are not looking at that. So like I said, the role of extension worker is so critical that government, not just government, private sector must look to that direction and invest into it.
All right, interesting. Apart from creating jobs, there are also concerns about the quality of training that are going to be passed on to those farmers, which will start from the extension workers themselves. I would like you to talk in this regard. What kind of training should be given to the extension workers in the first place? And what kind of mechanism should be put in place to ensure that the right trainees or the right instructions are being passed to these farmers?
Thank you very much. You know, we are so blessed in this country. We have so many higher institutions. We have so many specialized agricultural institutions in Nigeria, from maybe what we call the monotechnic. We have vocational training colleges. We have monotechnic. We have polytechnic. We have even universities that are specialized in agricultural training, that have the right knowledge, the right tools to train our extension worker, to impact them. But there are so many students graduating today that graduated as extension and rural development experts. So the place, the right trainings, we have it. You know, in Nigeria, we have almost everything. You have the policy, right policy. It's just the way of implementing that we always lack one thing or the other. So training them and not just to actually directly respond to that, it's not just going to be theoretical training, which most of the time some university or higher education does. It's have to be practical oriented training that this extension worker has to understand first and hands-on on the field training, so that when they also want to pass on this training to the farmer, they know exactly what they are passing on. So it's not going to be just virtual or theoretical training. It's going to be practical or hands-on training. And it's very important, and I'm very happy that a government of a state is taking on these challenges. If every state government, or yes, is taking on these challenges, then they are going to devote some attention to their training and retraining. Because like I said before, every time now and there's new technology, new innovation, new researches, new improved system, new way of production, good agricultural practices is coming out. So there should be training and retraining from time to time, so that they are going to be building their own capacity as they pass on to the farmer. And of course, if you hire extension workers and they are not adequately taken care of, it's going to be difficult to be able to also perform their duty as expected. So their welfare, welfare packages should also be taken care of very well, so that they can focus on the job on which they have been employed, and pass on this information to the farmer, who will eventually implement it on their farm and improve their productivity, their yield, their post-harvest handling, and at the end of the day, we are going to be food sufficient in that state and generally in the country.
Okay, kudos to Kebbi State government for planning to have 1,000 extension workers, but there are 21 local governments in Kebbi State. If you have 1,000,
because each local government is not evenly populated. Some local governments are more populated than other local governments. So based on the population of the local government, then they can now assign the extension workers to that local government. And not just based on the local government, based on the production, agrarian opportunity, that's agricultural opportunity, and that is taking place in that local government, we now determine what number of extension workers to be allocated to that local government. Ideally, if we can have one extension worker to between 200 to 500 farmers, I think that will go a very long way to be able to help our farmers to produce maximally.
Do we still need extension workers as much when there is mechanized farming?
Even when there is mechanized farming, like I said, there are every time now and then there are new systems coming out. It is extension workers that has to take it to the farmer. Now, if you have mechanized farming, which means you can do more production per time, maybe per hectare, because of the machinery that is available. But the people that will operate the machine, they still need to be trained. New machine is also coming up. Now, these days, you have planter, you have small scale machinery that can plant, that can weed, that can harvest, that can do so many things which are not there before. So we still need the extension workers to train these people, to retrain them in the new way of doing it. So even when there is extension workers, just like a lot of people were afraid of AI, that AI will take away our job, but there are still certain things that even the AI you are talking about, somebody has to program it, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't program what is going in, it cannot bring out something. So we cannot overemphasize the role of extension worker. We cannot say it's going to be reduced, even when there's mechanized farming. As far as agricultural sector is concerned, we still need more extension workers. We still need more expertise. We still need more people with expertise in different areas of agriculture to be able to be self-sufficient in this country. So we cannot underplay the role of extension worker, even when we have mechanized farming.
All right, great. Now, based on your findings and your research, what are some of the shortcomings or setbacks when it comes to extension services in Nigeria? What are some of these shortcomings that needs to be improved on? And then the government of Kebbi State should be wary of so that this scheme will achieve the purpose intended. Talk to us generally in Nigeria, some of the shortcomings when it comes to extension services.
Thank you very much. Earlier on, I mentioned something that the welfare packages of these engaged extension workers should be looked into. You know, this one primary area in Nigeria, especially when it got to the public sector, that we often underplay. And that's why when people are not motivated to do what they are asked to do, it will be difficult for them to deliver. So first and foremost, their welfare packages should be of priority. And apart from that, there was a question earlier that how should they be trained? Even the extension workers should also be undergoing retraining from time to time, refresher courses from time to time, because new things keep coming out every day, every time. If we need to meet up with global level of people to be self-sustained in Nigeria, then they also need to be retrained from time to time. Then another key area that has to be looked into is rural infrastructure, especially like road network and some other things which affect so many things. Because if I need, as an extension worker, I'm based in maybe the headquarters of the local government. If you look at our local government system and look at where we farm, the rural area, they are far apart. Like, especially, for example, in Kebbi State and most part of the north, where you have vast area of land and where the extension worker need to cover. And if the road is not motorable, even to get bike and some other thing, no, just like I said, welfare, if this guy is not adequately taken care of, it will be difficult. If it's supposed to cover maybe a radius of 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers apart from day to day, from time to time, and the place is not motorable, the accessibility is difficult, you know, that will not also make them to deliver the way they are supposed to do. So welfare packages, refresher training from time to time, then rural infrastructure, so that, you know, when our rural area is also very well accessible, people, and probably you have the issue of electricity in general anyway. If it's well accessible and you have maybe electricity and everything is okay in the rural area, somebody like me, I would prefer to even stay in that rural area to be able to meet the people who are actually doing the farming themselves and pass this information to them. So extension worker would want to stay close to the farmer, but if the place is not really habitable, so to say, compared to what we have in the urban area, no, it's difficult for these people to even stay long there. They may want, when they're supposed to meet maybe twice a week, they may do it maybe once or twice in a month, which will not be adequate. So it's very important we look at those areas.
All right. Does the job of the extension worker end on the farm? Are there other roles they can play in facilitating effective farming?
Not really. It's not just on the farm, but like their primary role, understand get the information, the right knowledge, the right practices, pass on to the farmer who will do the production. But for me, I don't think it stopped there, because the issue of food production doesn't stop with just producing the food. It moves on to until the food gets to the market and the food gets to the table of you and I that are speaking today. So, and if you look at some data, you can see that a third of the food a farmer produces does not even get to the market in the right quality, while another 1/3 end in the market because of the way we handle it. So the way the farmer produce, the post-harvest handling which may not be the farmer any longer, still lie on the extension worker to be able to educate every actors in this value chain on what to do, how to handle the food, how to do preservation, packaging very well, so that the food can get to the table of you and I in the right quality. So it's not just on the farm alone. They still have a role to play in educating the populace on how to handle the food the right way.
Now, when you look at most of the farmers in the rural areas, they are largely uneducated, illiterate or semi-illiterate. And if you look at the level of poverty, illiteracy, that could be a challenge. So how much of setback will that be for an extension worker who is trained in a place like Lagos or in the urban area in providing the right services for these rural dwellers?
Well, that's why they are extension workers. That's one of the areas of expertise. We know, and the people designing their curriculum, their training, knew very well that, especially in our own area, geographical location, most of these farmers are located in rural area, number one. Most of them are semi-literate, few are literate, number two. So they have been trained in that way to be able to pass on this information in the way the farmer will understand it. And like I said earlier, the mode of training is a specialized one. Some of the material, some of the booklet needed before you get to the farm, and that's why the road, like I said earlier, that government has to, our private sector, we have to invest in extension worker or extension services very well. Some of these booklets have to be translated into local languages, and that's why as an extension worker, when you know where you are located, some basic knowledge of that location, you need it, languages and some other things, so that if the person cannot communicate to you in English language, which is the mode of our communication and educational sector, then you should be able to flow in the local languages. Somehow you should be able to translate what you are having in your hand. If it's not yet been translated, you should be able to interpret it and talk to the man on the farm, either is Hausa, basic Hausa language, or basic Yoruba language, or Igbo language, or whatever location you find yourself. So it's one of their prerequisites in training, as if you want to be an expert extension officer, that has to be part of what you should know, that wherever you find yourself, you should be able to adapt to that local environment and speak to the people the way they will understand. Because if they don't understand what they're telling them, then your work is in vain. It's not going to produce anything. So it's very important when they are being trained, that should be part of what they should know before they go on.
Now, in trying to help that situation where some extension workers may not be from that environment, would it be possible to train the locals and use them as extension workers?
It's possible. It's very important. You know, when, especially if you are working with farmers in clusters, in this day, we even try to put them together in cooperative. You have among them, we call them lead farmer. We have few of them that are a bit literate, that can understand, that can flow with extension staff that is coming. Such people among them will be trained by the extension staff, extension worker, that of course, if he's there or he's not there, this person can do at least some of the services that the extension worker can do. So it's possible, and it's something that is even being done in some other places. So part of this local member of the clusters or cooperative or the community will be trained. At least you have few of them, 1, 2, 3 of them that are more literate or enlightened than the other. These ones can be guided by the extension worker, can be trained to now, they can do what we call training of trainer to these guys. They will now be of assistance to the extension workers, to the other farmers. So it is very, very much possible.
Now let's look at the area of supervision. It is one thing to train extension workers, even when you deploy them. There are reports suggesting that some of them don't get to places of primary assignments. What kind of supervision should be put in place to ensure that these extension workers, they do what is expected? In management, that's what we call control mechanism. So what kind of control should be put in place to ensure that these people are being monitored and well supervised?
Well, no, that's one issue we have in this part of the world. People are not sincere to what they are supposed to do. If everybody is sincere to what they are supposed to do, in fact, we may not be having this discussion anyway. But in those days, I know they used to have like supervisor, zonal supervisor that also periodically goes around to see if this person is there or not. They have a booklet to fill. But I think these days, technology can make something simpler. Now, if like like KB State now, for example, that has started this thing, they can go a step further, provide this extension worker with gadgets, maybe just a palm, a tablet that will be equipped with geolocation, application and some other thing, that their supervisor will have his own tablet that contains the information of all the extension worker under his own jurisdiction. And every morning or every day, at a particular time, they should be able to log in into their tablet to be able to sign into a particular location where they are. And of course, the supervisor can get the message immediately on his own tablet, and his own record can also show that this particular person is at certain location. So for me, the age we are, technology is helping so many things, just as we are seeing in the, maybe in the farming, mechanized farming. Today we see drone even helping the working in the farming sector in application of chemical or fertilizer. So we can deploy the same technology using of geotag ability, capability on our tablet, that as this extension worker is in certain jurisdiction or location, supervising, or he will log in into its own tablet, and as soon as he log in, maybe send certain information, the supervisor can get that, okay, he's here. And that should not also take away the role of supervisor by also paying unscheduled visit periodically to certain area to find out if these extension workers are actually there or not. But the technology can also help a lot to monitor this.
Let's look at rice farming, which is the predominant farming in Kebbi State. What can be done to enhance that? Now, the governor of Kebbi State prides in the fact that, according to him, Kebbi State is the largest producer of rice in Nigeria. And they're having a partnership between China and Nigeria. They want to leverage on the partnership between China and Nigeria to enhance investment in different sectors. Key among them is agriculture. What should be looked at in this area to increase the output from rice production in Kebbi State?
Thank you very much for that question. You know, most of the time when we talk about rice in Nigeria, it's like a pain to me, because I have the opportunity to spend some my early years in the northern parts of the country, precisely in Niger State. I remember those days we grow the rice that we eat. So today when we clamor for foreign rice, it's a pain. Nigeria shouldn't have any point of importing rice. We have all it takes to produce the rice that can feed us in this country. So Kebbi State government, they are in the right direction. Now, what we do in Nigeria predominantly is like seasonal farming. We wait for the rain to come, and when the rain comes, like what they call agriculture, we call rain-fed farming. So if this can be extended to dry season farming, using irrigation, so that there won't be a time in the year this we are not producing, especially in that state. They have access to water, they are close to some river area, they have good land. So they can do, as they are getting this partnership from China or any other foreign government or country, they should invest so much in maybe what we call dry season farming. And these days, apart from what they use for pumping, you know, for irrigation farming, you need to pump water and you need energy to do the pumping. And people will tell you fuel is now very expensive. And with regard to climate change, we are even preaching, so to say, that we should go climate smart. So now, these days, you can have smaller pump equipped with solar. So they can invest in this solar pumping machine irrigation system so that rice can be produced all through the year. And it's not just paddy rice production. Of course, that is the core, because that is the basis. So invest in rice season farming, solar pumping machine to tackle climate change, then improve breeding of rice. Should also be looking to new genetics and some other things should be looked into. And apart from the paddy, a whole lot of work should also be done in the processing of the rice so that our rice can compete competitively with what the so-called foreign rice that people pay so much money to buy. So they should focus more on dry season farming, invest in pumping machine to combat climate change, and also more investment in the processing technology.
Thank you so much for your submission. You know, we just have to leave the conversation here. We'll always have another time to revisit it. Thank you so much for your time and your commitment. No doubt you've done justice to this. We're quite grateful.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much too for having me.
All right. This is where we call it a wrap. Blessing?
Yes, I hope to see improvements in rice production, particularly because you know the cost of a bag of rice now in the market. Rice is a staple food in Nigeria. If that is achieved, if rice becomes cheap, I think to a good extent.
I checked was 80,000 naira.
80,000 naira for a bag of rice. That's almost 3 months' wage, because if the minimum wage is 30,000, so if you earn that amount of money, you have to save 3 months. Almost 3 months' salary to buy a bag of rice. That's really not a good one. So let's hope that with this partnership between China and the Kebbi State government and the extension workers that will be recruited, there will be more attention given to rice farming, which they are known for. And other states too, there are states that produce rice in Nigeria, will give more attention to it, and we can have rice cheap, maybe come down to someday 20,000 naira.
And even for states who are not just, who don't have the privilege of producing this rice, they can also collaborate with other states.
Yes.
You know, kind of collaboration with like a state like Kebbi State to see that how can be extended to their states. And with that kind of collaboration, it helps the production of rice in Nigeria. And then this kind of crisis will also mitigate the effect as well.
Yes, largely what is needed is mechanized farming so that there will be no only farming. They won't be farming only when the rain falls. They'll be farming at all seasons of the year, and proper storage so that the wastage will be cut short. Thank you very much for being a part of the show today. There's still 2 more days to go in the week. There's 2 more days to go. We have Thursday's edition and then we have Friday edition. So make it a date, 8 a.m. West African time. I am Blessing Aichi. There are many wonderful things to benefit from Souq News today, so do not change the channel. It remains Souq News. It should be for the rest of the day.
And from me to you, whoever is around you, don't underrate anybody. The little man today can be the big man tomorrow and could be the best person to help you tomorrow. Don't forget, Early Extinct returns tomorrow. I am Femi Ayodele. Bye for now.